Welcome to the National Institute for Innovation and Technology Accelerator Series. Virtual forums designed to help educate and inform individuals and organizations about the services and solutions they provide to facilitate talent pipeline development and establish innovative registered apprenticeships. Today's forum is Arizona's Semiconductor Surge, Building Talent and Capitalizing on Opportunities. This event is brought to you in part by the Semiconductor Industry Association. The National Institute for Innovation and Technology is responsible for developing a national strategy to build the semiconductor talent pipeline. Under contract with the U.S. Department of Labor, the Institute leads the development of registered apprenticeship programs for the semiconductor and broader nanotechnology-related supply chains throughout the nation.
All right, in the great words of Matthew McConaughey, all right, all right, all right. Good morning. Congratulations to everybody that made it for braving those freeways right now here in Arizona. It's a pleasure to welcome all of you to this event that truly is going to be a significant moment for our semiconductor industry here in Arizona. I will be today's Master of Ceremonies for what I truly believe is going to be an engaging and insightful program. So in my work in apprenticeships right now as the Acting State Apprenticeship Director, and even before that, in my long history in the construction industry, I've seen how registered apprenticeship and its transformative impact of connecting learning with real-world application. So today, we gather to explore how we can extend this impact across our industry and also to address the challenge that we are currently facing, particularly with the labor shortage that's, you gotta admit, is becoming increasingly crucial. So today, our agenda is packed with an insightful panel discussion that promises to be as informative as it is engaging. These sessions, mind you, are not just about identifying problems, but it's about working together, learning to collaborate, and working towards practical solutions that will shape the future of our industry. So, let's get ready for a day full of meaningful conversation, new insights, and collaborative ideas. Again, thank you for being here and for your commitment to advancing the semiconductor industry. So up first, we're excited to present a message from John Neufer. He is the president and CEO of the Semiconductor Industry Association.
Good morning. Great to be here, though only virtually. As mentioned, I'm John Neufer, President and CEO of the Semiconductor Industry Association, or SIA. We're based in Washington, D.C. Our membership is comprised of 99% of the U.S. semiconductor industry and 2/3 of the global chip industry. We are thrilled to be a sponsor of today's event. And although I wish I could be in Arizona to participate in person, I do appreciate the opportunity to say a few words this morning. First, I'd like to thank the host of today's event, the National Institute for Innovation and Technology. Mike Brusso is a very good friend of ours and a bit of a legend in the industry. He and his team at the Institute are doing a tremendous job working to expand and build the nation's talent pipeline to support strategic industries like the semiconductor sector. We greatly appreciate their efforts. I'd like to offer my congratulations on the launch of Arizona's first semiconductor technician registered apprenticeship program at TSMC. That's a tremendous accomplishment that will serve as a model for similar programs in the future. I also want to commend the state and local leaders on the White House designating Phoenix as a workforce hub. Arizona is truly a shining example of what's possible when government, industry, academia, and other stakeholders collaborate to strengthen the technology workforce. That work has never been more necessary or impactful than it is today, particularly in our industry. As you know, the chip industry is undergoing tremendous change and growth. A year and a half ago, leaders in Washington enacted the CHIPS and Science Act, historic legislation that makes very significant investments in domestic chip production and innovation. Reinforcing chip supply chains on our shores offers tremendous opportunities, but it also presents significant challenges. One of the most prominent of those challenges is meeting growing workforce needs. As U.S. chip operations expand in the years ahead, so too will demand for skilled talent. Unfortunately, at the current pace, we simply don't have enough workers to fill those new jobs. In fact, a recent study by SIA and Oxford Economics projected a shortfall of 67,000 technicians, computer scientists, and engineers in the semiconductor industry by 2030, and a gap of 1.4 million tech workers throughout the broader U.S. economy. Simply put, our industry will not continue to grow and innovate at its full potential unless we expand the pipeline of STEM workers. That's why the work being done in Arizona and other places around the country is so critical. And that's why we're grateful for the efforts of the National Institute for Innovation and Technology to help broaden the nation's talent pipeline for semiconductors and advanced manufacturing, and to promote innovative registered apprenticeships designed for the semiconductor industry. These learn and earn programs expand the pipeline by attracting workers who may not otherwise pursue careers in our industry or in other high-tech fields. As I close, I'd like to once again applaud the collective work of everyone participating in today's event. Your efforts are making a meaningful and lasting difference, one important step at a time. SI looks forward to continuing to collaborate with all of you to ensure a strong, vibrant semiconductor workforce for many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, John. So as we reflect on that powerful message from the Semiconductor Industry Association, it's clear, very clear, that collaboration is key in our moving forward of innovation registered apprenticeships and answering the need for workforce development in the semiconductor industry. Speaking of moving forward, it's now my pleasure to introduce to you Mike Russo. He is the president and CEO of the National Institute for Innovation and Technology. Mike brings over 3 decades of experience in manufacturing, policy development, and workforce evolution. In fact, Mike and his team have been instrumental in developing the nation's talent pipeline for advanced manufacturing with a focus in semiconductor and nanotechnology-related industries. So, without further ado, let's welcome Mike Russo.
Thanks, Joanne, and welcome everyone here today. I'd like to start by thanking a few people that are in attendance today. First of all, Dr. Diaz, I'd like to thank you for hosting today's event. Dr. Diaz is the president of Gateway Community College. John Neufer, thanks for his comments as well. The SIA is the nation's really the voice for the semiconductor industry and really leads the policy work in Washington. Also, Joanne, you're more than the master of ceremonies today, but Joanne's office, and Joanne in particular, has been a partner now since we've been in Arizona. Our first accelerator, actually, we partnered with you over a year ago now. And interestingly enough, that was when we were socializing apprenticeships, and there was even some trepidation on what does that mean. And here we are today to talk about what actually has happened to really bring the first semiconductor apprenticeship program to fruition. So thank you, Joanne. Also, Lisetta Hogan, our Deputy Economic Development Director, and Deb Furlong, Business and Workforce Operations Lead for the City of Phoenix. Their partnership in this process has been instrumental, and they bring a whole nother level of passion to the process. Also, Leah, your work, not only at Maricopa, but just, I think, pretty much a lifetime of work and passion is appreciated. Thank you for participating today. as well as Greg and Johnny from TSMC and NXP, and Melinda, Melinda Woods. She brings an interesting perspective. So she's on our board, and I think it's by design. I wonder if it was a plant by the Department of Defense. I don't know. But Melinda, we really thank you for your guidance on the Institute at the board, all kidding aside. Melinda was responsible for, as the director of Title III DPA Defense Production Act and a senior advisor to the Office of the Secretary of Defense, was responsible for monitoring the strategic industry sectors, tech industry, if you will, the supply chain, to make sure the U.S. military had what it needed, both on the commercial side, but also really directly related to support the military. So she has a very unique perspective, and she came from the semiconductor industry, so imagine that. So we're very lucky to have you here today, Melinda, but also as a board, on our board. So we at the Institute, we are responsible for a national strategy to build the talent pipeline to support strategic industry sectors. So those are, think of advanced manufacturing in the tech sector tied to national security and global competitiveness. Sounds like a lofty mission, but that truly is our mission. We are the nation's leader, bar none, of semiconductor talent pipeline development. So what does that mean? That means the playbook, the infrastructure, and the support that we provide regions that are already doing the good work under that national strategy. We're also the U.S. Department of Labor's contractor responsible for expanding and establishing registered apprenticeships, innovative, competency-based registered apprenticeships designed for the semiconductor industry, broad nanotechnology related industries, and their supply chains. So we have, right now to date, we launched the program under the contract which began in 2022. Prior to that, there was no such program. And we have 85 programs up and running in 17 states. We have over 4,800 apprentices committed to our programs. We have 50 community colleges and training providers in our national network of required technical instructions provided, providing the necessary instruction for registered apprenticeships. And we have, I think to date, about 136 courses, programs, if you will, profiled in the National Talent Hub. And I'd recommend that you go to the NIT.org, sponsored programs, National Talent Hub, and watch a video there that'll explain what that is. That was designed at the request of the administration 10 years ago to be the national infrastructure to support this work, and I won't get into that. You can see that online. So we're very unique as an organization. We provide a very high level of subject matter expertise on multiple fronts to support regional ecosystem development. And I think both NXP and TSMC and the city of Phoenix, and actually Joanne, have witnessed some of that. But we are very experienced in semiconductor industry, general advanced manufacturing, establishing registered apprenticeship programs and implementing them in advanced manufacturing, as well as industry-related training and education. So we provide that expertise at no cost to the folks that we work with. We also have launched back on January 4th, I believe, it's called the Semiconductor and Advanced Manufacturing Technology Apprenticeship Program. And what we did in that announcement is we let the states know that our intermediary services to establish registered apprenticeship programs and the support to build the pipeline, that playbook, if you will, are being offered to states at no cost around the country. It's all funded by the federal government, the U.S. Department of Labor. And in fact, not only is there no cost, we can bring some incremental funding to support employers and individuals wishing to participate in those programs. You mentioned collaboration, Joanne, and I'm going to just reiterate, collaboration is key. No one can get this done without collaborating. And today's story, I think, that we're going to tell is how that actually played out in Arizona. And we at the Institute, you'll often notice that we are kind of, we're not in these announcements, and that's for a reason. The bright light should be shown on those that are actually doing the work in those regions that have been doing that work for years, and for the employees and individuals that are going to be able to take advantage of those. So our collaborative effort, just in a summary here, if you think about some of the collaborations, how they've manifested themselves outside of Arizona. So in California, for example, we had an industry association, a foundation reach out to us, some employers, to establish a program. So we worked with the Foothills Community College to develop the curriculum, and now several employers are in our Gaines program, growing apprenticeships in nanotechnology and semiconductors. So Western Digital, Applied Materials, Infineon, Infinera, they're all part of our program. But that was reaching out to us initially. In Idaho, we have Micron, and we have Micron in other locations as well, but that partnership was through the Manufacturing Alliance in Idaho. And in Ohio, we have over 30 programs, and that was with manufacturing workers in Ohio. It's always about regional collaboration. We just bolt in. I think just in closing, what I'd like to do is say that I really encourage the panelists to share why you did what you did, the decisions that were made regardless of your role, what the journey looked like, and what you see in the future. And so the last but not least, we will be recognizing the City of Phoenix today for it's really a special award, and I can tell you because of our national role, it really is notable, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Tom Narini. So as governing board member of Maricopa County Community College District, Dr. Narini brings a wealth of experience from counseling at high school level to directing student outreach at notable universities both in the U.S. and Canada. His dedication to diversity and access in education is evident through his extensive service, which includes coordination roles that bridge community colleges with larger universities. Dr. Narini's commitment to student success is complemented by his insightful presentations on educational policy and his active participation in counseling associations. An accomplished academic with a doctorate in educational leadership, master's in counseling, and not to mention his foundational associate's degree at Mesa Community College. It's like bringing it home, right? Dr. Narini's journey reflects the power and importance of community colleges in shaping our educational landscape. So without any further ado, I'd like to welcome Dr. Narini to the podium.
Thank you, and welcome to Gateway and Maricopa. The information I'm going to share with you today is too important to depend on my memory, so I'm going to read it out just to be sure. But like Mike said, I'm a graduate of the community college, so I understand the importance of what community colleges do and what the work that they provide students and to the community. So Maricopa Community College is recognized as a leader in Arizona for workforce education. We serve over 160,000 students annually, and we graduate more than 23,000 professionals into the workforce in advanced degrees each year. And we don't do it with cookie-cutter programs. We work with employers by connecting the employers with the resources and customizing the training that they need of the services. Our 10 community colleges and 2 skill centers at the Maricopa Community Colleges are providing a pipeline of employees who are new to their careers, as well as those professionals who are looking to advance their degrees and their careers. During the 2021 and 2022 fiscal year, Maricopa Community Colleges District added almost $8 billion into the local economy, with activities in the colleges and their students support 1 out of every 28 jobs in the Maricopa County. The net impact of the Maricopa Community Colleges former students currently employed in the county workforce amounts to $6.4 billion in added income. So that's $6.4 billion that the citizens of the county are earning now because of their work with the community colleges. In 2024 and beyond, we're bringing exciting opportunities to our colleges and students in the state. Investments in apprenticeship, new industries including semiconductor manufacturing, healthcare, new programs in electric vehicles, battery storage, and the expansion in technology, including virtual reality, and to meet the commitments of the cutting edge and relevant workforce training in the industry that the industry demands today. The diversity of our programs offered at the 10 community colleges supports students within every industry sector, from the front line to direct skilled professionals and the back office expertise that the economy thrives. So thank you for your continued support. And now I'd like to introduce the president of Gateway Community College, Amy Diaz.
Thank you, Dr. Narini. We appreciate you being here. Well, good morning again, and welcome to Gateway Community College. As you just heard, I'm Dr. Amy Diaz, and I'm honored to serve as the 9th president here at this college. Gateway has more than 3 decades of experience with registered apprenticeships. Our previous focus has been on construction trades, but the focus has been shifting toward advanced manufacturing and supporting industries like water, welding, and electrical. Gateway recently launched a cooperative apprenticeships model in which Gateway functions as the apprenticeship sponsor while utilizing programs of study at any of the sister colleges within the Maricopa system. This allows much more flexibility and scope in our response to industry needs and simplicity for external partners. We've designed a model with a virtual front door where there is one point of contact for industry that reaches any of the 10 Maricopa community colleges. Another noteworthy effort in the world of apprenticeships is that Gateway now has the ability to offer credit for prior learning to journeymen in construction trades. This means that we can translate courses taken through an apprenticeship program into college equivalent courses and credits that are transcribed on an official college transcript. The better news is this can be repeated in the manufacturing space as well. Related specifically to semiconductor work, the Maricopa Community College District has launched a 10-day Quick Start Semiconductor Boot Camp that has completed 870 students to date. Of those students, 66% were students of color, 32% female, and 49% first-generation college students. And 62 of the 870 completers are continuing their education at a Maricopa Community College. The colleges partnered with both TSMC and Intel to ensure the Quick Start program met the majority of their workforce needs for these positions. To ensure we continue to get this right, the Maricopa Community College District has an advisory board with 30 semiconductor companies who support our programs and have committed to hiring our student completers. I feel confident that I can speak on behalf of Gateway and all of Maricopa by stating that we are ready to deliver whatever our industry needs in advanced manufacturing with apprenticeships at the forefront. And it's now my privilege to introduce Martha Panji.
I'm going to keep you in suspense regarding Martha Panji, but we do have a special event right now that we're going to be doing, and at this point I will call back the President and CEO of NIIT, Mike Russo.
Builds. So I mentioned earlier a special award and a recognition. I also mentioned that we are responsible for 85 programs in 17 states. And so we, needless to say, work with a lot of regions. And here in the city of Phoenix, we talked about a collaborative effort that led to, just in 1 year, socializing a semiconductor registered apprenticeship to actually bringing one home with TSMC back on January 11th. Well, I don't know if you all realized what you were doing, but you, in fact, were breaking ground. I'm here and happy to say that the city of Phoenix is the first municipality in the nation to become a group program sponsor for semiconductor registered apprenticeships. So out of all the municipalities in all the states, the city of Phoenix is the first one. So with that, is the mayor in the house? So thank you, Mayor, for joining us today. And I really don't think there's a better person to accept this award. If you think about really a staunch advocate for growth, innovation, and really fostering a skilled workforce. Today's special guest is Mayor Kate Gallego. It's not every day that we witness a city really transform itself into a hub, and I guess official hub with the White House announcement, but actually you beat the White House to it. You were already a hub, right, Mayor? Really of advanced tech and manufacturing. But under the leadership of you, Mayor, Phoenix has done just that. Since the mayor has been in office, Phoenix has achieved some really incredible milestones. Number one in the U.S. for manufacturing in general. Fast emerging as the epicenter for semiconductors in North America. And this isn't new. This is a mature ecosystem taking it to the next level. Number one in emerging markets for bioscience company growth and related new jobs. And really home to one of the world's, if not the world's, largest autonomous zone. With her economic development acumen and business education background, Mayor Gallego has made Phoenix not just a city on the rise, but a home for cutting-edge industries in a thriving, diverse community. At this time, I'd like to welcome the mayor up here to the podium, and Melinda from our board of directors at the Institute, if you'd both join me. I want to drop it now. So we're going to present this award. Melinda, I'll let you do the honors. How about if I step around to this side? Phoenix is number one. I don't think it would be appropriate without inviting the whole team that's been responsible for this up here for a group photo. So, Mayor, you have a rock star team of passionate individuals. Is Lisetta here? And Deb. Deputy Economic Development, there's Deb, we introduced you earlier, or excuse me, Lisetta, we introduced you earlier, and Deb, we also introduced. They've been instrumental in the program. And let's see who else. Leah, if you'd come up here from Maricopa County Community College, you'd represent the system. Would you like to get in the photo here? President Diaz, TSMC representatives. Now, I think we must be missing somebody. We have the City of Phoenix. We have Joanne. You need to be here. Martha. I'm going through the list right now.
Dr. Narini? Yes.
Dr. Narini, would you like to join us? Martha's our Director of National Apprenticeships. This is, so she's been our face here. I almost feel like I don't even belong in this picture. But.
Yeah, Dr. Narini should come up.
Doctor?
We got to get some balance here.
We haven't bookended? Mayor? You'd like to say a few words? You're number one. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago.
We did. Thank you so much, Mike. Your longtime record in this industry makes the award even more meaningful, and we are so proud to be number one. Thank you to the very large team that made this possible, many of whom you just got to see. We really feel that semiconductors is a huge part of the future in Phoenix, and we want to create great jobs for our residents. Apprenticeship is such an important tool for doing it, and we're proud to have made history. We're not done making history, so we hope from here to continue to grow the program and just the engines of the future. For those of you who don't know my background, I worked in economic development before running for office, and was a very small player when Intel grew in the Valley. It was the same time we were going through some tough downturns in the economy. I had just bought my first home in the single-month peak of the market, and then, y'all remember 2008? Don't take real estate tips from me. But I noticed how advanced manufacturing in areas around semiconductor didn't go through the same dip we did. And it's always been something I've been thinking about when I thought about what do I want to accomplish as mayor. So early on in my time as mayor, we went to Taiwan to recruit TSMC. We saw they were making the most cutting edge chips anywhere in the world. And we thought with the great base of manufacturing and companies that trace to Motorola, NXP, and so many more in this market that we would be a good match for them. It was my first birthday as mayor, and it was weird to be away from home, but they gave us a wonderful welcome, and we pitched them on coming to Phoenix. I was a little bit nervous about our pitch because we were pitching a site called Biscuit Flats right next to the Ben Avery shooting range, and we weren't sure if we would sound like we were the Wild West trying to make the most advanced semiconductors. But it was the people and the educational opportunities here that I think really helped us win the pitch. And so I want to say thank you to all of you who, many of you dedicate your life to making that possible. And so this recognition is a recognition for you as well. The reason we will succeed is people and educational supports. The apprenticeship, I hope, will make such a difference. It was exciting to meet the first class. I met one young man who was betting big on semiconductors and knew this was the future, and another young man who was a little bit wide-eyed about what this industry is. But it is like magic. I mean, it's incredible that you could put billions of transistors on something the size of your thumbnail. And with the great partners in the room, we are going to educate the workforce that will make that happen in high-wage jobs. President Diaz, it's so exciting to see what's happening here and just hearing the new numbers about the hundreds of people that you have helped educate, again, to make that magic happen. The tools are so advanced, and so Gateway will be home to a future 48 accelerator with a $150 million tool that will tell you how you can make those 4 nanometer and smaller chips, and they'll be able to see what it's like and how it happens and get the most advanced training. I mean, it's not something many community colleges can offer with such incredible cutting-edge technology, and we got to make sure people know what a great industry this is and what is possible. We want to thank the Institute for partnering with us. The National Institute for Innovation and Technology has deep, deep expertise in this area and are really going to help us have the very best from all across the world. We have those great partnerships with our state apprenticeship office. Thank you to Joanne and my great team. You got to meet some of them, including Lisetta and Deb earlier. They worked hard to make this #1 program happen, and we are so proud of it. With TSMC, we are going to work with all the partners together and make sure the people in our community can get the training and the benefit so that we can lift the entire region. So thank you for this powerful recognition. And now everyone's been in suspense for the Martha speech, so I will say thank you, and just all of you who made this happen. It's incredible. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
This is awesome.
Thank you, Mayor, for your leadership, and thanks to Lisetta and Deb. You have a passionate, you definitely are going to succeed, I can tell you that, or continue to succeed. I'm going to turn it back over to Joanne, but we talk about, theory versus practice. A lot of people are talking about theoretically what should happen. We at the Institute like to say, well, we've already developed, and now we need to deploy. So the practice part is Phoenix, Arizona. And I don't know if it's practice. I think you've done the practice, right? You're actually executing. But thank you very much, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, we'll still keep you in suspense. Just kidding. All right, so as we continue to build upon these insights, it's my honor to finally end the suspense and introduce Martha Ponji. She is the Director of National Apprenticeships at NIIT, and she brings over 25 years of rich experience to the table. She spearheads the development and execution of apprenticeship programs through her work as the lead of the Institute's Gains program. So Martha's dedication to workforce development is unparalleled. And we're super women, along with Deb and Lisetta and Pearl. We've brought the first semiconductor-related apprenticeship program, and this is just the first of many that we will face in this great state. And that dedication is just, we will feel its impact. So anyway, please join me in welcoming Martha Ponji.
Everyone, I hope I live up to the hype. So just really quickly, so we can get to our wonderful panelists. At the Institute, GAINS is not just a program. It's really about creating access, building opportunities for individuals. And it's about making sure that the journey into those high-value careers isn't just there for a select few, but it really welcomes people from all walks of life. So whether you're fresh out of high school, wanting to go directly to work, whether you're someone who's shifting careers and is really looking for something that's going to help to grow opportunity for you and your family, a veteran who's transitioning now back into the private sector, we have a spot for you. For those graduates of BS programs, MS programs, even our PhD programs, we are looking at our GAINS employer partners who are saying, can we build those learn and earn models for our new engineers so that we can help them get the hands-on training that they really need to be successful right out of the gate. So for us, the concept of earn, learn, and live, it's not a motto. It's really the reality that's available if you take that jump into the registered apprenticeship, wherever you are in your career stage. We don't have problems in this country really finding individuals to go into our semiconductor space, but really, how do we assess the skills that people have when they come to the table, and how are we able then to build targeted training programs that are going to be sufficient both for that individual to have long-term career growth and for those employers who really need people to get up to work and up to speed quickly. So Mike mentioned our National Talent Hub. Many of the individuals in this room have been instrumental in helping us to build that model across the nation. But with that Talent Hub, we really have a process for data-driven assessment of individuals, which is going to allow us to really move away from and kind of shift the paradigm about how people define themselves. We've been an industry sector that has traditionally defined itself based on the degree that you currently have. And what we really want to do is be able to identify the competencies that you bring to the table, align those with our employer needs, and really look at how do we define the gap in its most small features, and then build that targeted training that allows people to get up to speed as quickly as possible for both themselves and for the employer, and make sure that when we're filling those gaps, we're prioritizing how we do it. So we're looking at those competencies that have the most impact for both an individual and their employer, and the sense of urgency to need that competency right now. I could go like all engineering nerdy on you 101 for apprenticeship training, and that's probably where I normally would go. But really, apprenticeship is described as drinking from the fire hose, and I will tell you, after 10 years of doing this work, it is 100% true. I learn something new every single day. But that's what our team's here for. It's to help demystify what's going on. We want to work with our partners here at the Arizona Department of Labor, who have been invaluable in our success. But we also want to work with our employers, big and small, right? Everybody has a space at the table. Bring stakeholders together and really provide the support that a community needs to help establish successful programs and then implement them and execute at a high level. We're really proud of the subject matter experts that we have at the Institute. We're very lucky. I'm very fortunate to work with such a talented group. But guess what? The people that I really want to applaud today are those panelists who are going to come up for the discussion, because they're the real change makers in your own region. They're the individuals on the ground who truly believe that by working together, that they can grow an apprenticeship ecosystem with opportunities for any and for all who want to participate. And that means talent, academia, community-based organizations, economic development, and our employers who really lead this work. So I want to thank them all for their time and energy that they're going to bring to this discussion. Thank you for being here, and I really applaud the work that you're doing. And I'm going to hand back to Joanne.
Thank you, Martha. So just to take a little snippet of what she said, the demystifying this whole thing, yes, it's not mystified. There's no mystifying element about it. But I do want you to know that it is magical. Collaboration is magical, and the collaboration among all these people here in this room and those watching, your collaboration is key, again, to this journey forward. All right, let's switch gears and go on to the very reason we're all here today for this panel discussion. So guiding this conversation is Michelle Layden-Lee, and she is a veteran in the technology sector who has led executive teams at Intel, Qualcomm, and Global Foundries. As CEO of Layden-Lee Consulting, Michelle brings her extensive experience in executive communications and global marketing to the forefront of our industry dialogue. Thank you for being here, Michelle. Her expertise as a moderator for the Institute's virtual live accelerators has been definitely invaluable, and her understanding of the workforce challenges as we face is deeply nuanced. Michelle's leadership has not only shaped the marketing strategies of some of the most iconic technology brands, but has also been pivotal in navigating the complex landscape of our industry. So here you go, Michelle.
Joanne, thank you so much for that introduction. I really appreciate it. Hi, everyone. So this is going to be a very interesting conversation, right? We all know we need to build the talent pipeline. It's really critical to the growth of the national semiconductor supply chain, and not only the growth, but making sure that it's a robust supply chain long term. So we have a lot of people here in the audience and also virtually that are very interested in different aspects of what it's going to take to build that talent pipeline. But in particular, how do you establish a registered apprenticeship program? So this is really the perfect panel for that, and I'm going to tell you why. If you're an employer like TSMC Arizona or NXP or other semiconductor manufacturers, you really need a workforce development plan. And how do you get that? How do you know you're going to have the talent and the skills that are going to fill those very valuable jobs? What does it take? What does that process look like? And we have the people here on the panel who are going to tell you a little bit about that. If you're a community college or training program, how do you know that what your courses provide are going to provide the skills base that you need for those semiconductor employers? Well, we have Leah Palmer here with us today from Maricopa Community Colleges, and you're going to hear from her exactly what that looks like. If you are a city or a county or a state, government or economic development workforce unit, how do you bring those semiconductor and foster that semiconductor ecosystem for your constituencies? So we have Deb Furlong here with us today, and she is going to talk to that. And then last but certainly not least, if you're a job seeker, how do you figure this out? Where do you go to get that training so that you can take advantage of the registered apprenticeship programs and really get those high-paying and high-value jobs? And we're going to talk a little bit about that. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce officially our panelists, and we're going to get kicked off on this conversation. So, and as a lot of the speakers have already noted, this is a collaboration. So we're going to have a conversation up here, and we're going to talk about what that collaboration looks like in this industry, and how we can all work together to bring more folks into this workforce. So to my right, Deb Furlong. She is the Business and Program Operations Lead at the City of Phoenix Business and Workforce Development Board. Deb, welcome.
Thank you.
We have Johnny Kane, who is the Front-End Operations Training Manager at NXP. Johnny, welcome.
Thank you.
We have Leah Palmer, Executive Director of the Arizona Advanced Manufacturing Institute for Workforce and Manufacturing Technologies at Maricopa Community Colleges. Welcome. We're happy also to have Greg Jackson, who is Facility Operations Director at TSMC Arizona. Welcome. And we have Melinda Woods, who you've heard about. She is the CEO of EAAS Consulting. She's also a board member for the Institute, and she is former director of the Defense Productions Act Title III Office within the Office of the Secretary of Defense for the United States. Welcome, Melinda.
Thank you.
All right. Well, let's get kicked off. And I'm going to challenge all of you and all the audience, too, to think about a couple of questions that we're going to try to resolve here today, or at least talk to a little bit. The first is, why was the Registered Apprenticeship Program important to you? Why is it important to the industry? And what did you hope to gain from it? The second one is, what did you learn along the way? And how will you apply that learning moving forward? And I think that's really important for our audience, too, to understand what that process looks like. And the last one is, what do you see as the next steps in this process, and what end goal in mind? So I'm going to kick off, Deb, with you, if you don't mind. And my understanding is that in the city of Phoenix, you had some experience with apprenticeship programs in the past, but not specifically for occupations like the semiconductor industry. So as you moved forward with a registered apprenticeship program specifically for semiconductor, can you talk about what was the thought process there? What were you thinking as you moved forward with that in that direction? And what's the process been like?
You know, interesting, Michelle. Admittedly, we didn't know what our role was going to be when we started. You heard Mayor Gallego, we were good friends to TSMC, and we cared about their success and ensuring that we were meeting the needs, and workforce was one of those. And so we walked along TSMC as they gathered all the education providers to see what was happening in the ecosystem. And in that process, everyone had a role, and we were just there to support and make sure the collaboration was happening and that everyone was heard, and we were looking to grow stuff at home. And then we started hearing some concerns about, getting a contract with the federal government, holding retention folders for 5-10 years, data entry into a federal system, these things that seem to cause a pause. And as a workforce board, this is what we do all the time. We're really good at it, and we were like, wait, that's a seat we can sit in. We're comfortable with that, and if that's the barrier, we can move that. And so we decided, the support of our leadership, to engage as a sponsor and just take that burden off of our employers. And as we, wanted to build just the entire ecosystem, we love TSMC being here and all that they've done for our city with bringing the ecosystem. It wasn't just for TSMC, right? For TSMC to be successful, everyone needed to be successful. And so we found a space in convening in a world that we already do, working very closely with the colleges and employers just in everything we do. And so we decided, this is this place. We're going to support you in that. That's a role that we can do. Everyone had a space, and that was ours. And the process was incredible. I learned, as Martha said, I learned every day. I love that about this. Tons of learning. The collaboration was incredible. Just getting our hands dirty. I mean, really, I haven't seen Greg in a suit. Usually, he's in a bright orange vest, and just diving in and getting in deep, and everyone just at it together. We knew that what we were doing was special and was going to impact our community. Yeah. And so we were just excited in that. And so it was a lot of fun. It was stressful. It was over the holiday. I wasn't feeling so cheery all the time. But we made it through. And really to see that in just a matter of 2 months, we put that together as a team. And that's what collaboration can do. So thank you.
That's terrific. And Greg, maybe you can talk a little bit about TSMC Arizona and your work in that process, what it was like to sort of move down this path of a registered apprenticeship program.
So we're building 2 big fabs currently, or in commissioning and building. We need to staff them with 4,500 direct hire TSMC employees that range from technicians to engineers to managers. There's a couple ways to get those kind of people. You can hire experienced people, which is a finite pool, or you can develop people, and that's the goal here, is to be able to develop people, to give them the skills and the on-the-job experience to come in and provide that pathway in to a high-paying job in an advanced technology facility and hit the ground running. it takes time to be able to do that. There are some very unique skills that are required that aren't necessarily out there. We've got to train them. That goes with getting the foundational education part that gives that basis on how they're going to actually develop those skills and move into the role.
Was there anything around that process in collaborating with the folks here that maybe you didn't expect, or were there any challenges in terms of the registered apprenticeship program that you didn't see and you worked towards getting through?
I think our partners have made it really easy to get this done. I mean, the city of Phoenix has been great. Maricopa County community colleges have been awesome in working through this with us, and IET has kind of paved the way for it. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say it's been the smoothest thing, but because it's a new thing for us.
Right.
But the partners have made it it's been a great partnership to make things happen.
Yeah, it sounds like it's been a very collaborative process.
Yeah.
Great. If you don't mind, Johnny, I'm going to turn to you next, because also as a big employer in the area, NXP has a very storied history in Phoenix, right? I think Motorola Semiconductor, I think the mayor mentioned it, goes back to founding in 1949 here. And obviously NXP a leader today in the technology industry. And I would imagine, just as TSMC Arizona, a very skilled workforce is top of mind to you to fill your workforce development efforts. Can you talk a little bit about NXP's journey? Because I think you were kind of one of the first companies to actually look at this registered apprenticeship program. And I think maybe there were some concerns about sort of just how that gets managed and administered. Can you talk a little bit about that and your journey there?
Sure. Going back, we started talking about apprenticeship programs as probably mid-2022 with Leah. We started having many conversations. We actually developed a memorandum of understanding with Maricopa Community Colleges in early 2023. And Joanna, it's good to see you in person, but I remember meeting you about mid-2023, and she kind of laid out the registered apprenticeship options and for us after a tour of the leaders toured our site in Chandler. And shortly after that, the NIIT organization came into the picture and started helping us map through that process of what it would look like. Now, in semiconductor factories, you're probably, for a semiconductor equipment technician, there's probably 5 to 10 specialty areas in there. So that organization is really helping us map through what that would look like. And I think John Russo mentioned earlier the experience, the manufacturing experience of the organization, and with the semiconductor experience, we talk the same language, when we're speaking about functional areas within the factory. However, there is a lot of concern about the administration of the process. So we really want to focus on building products for our customers, and so that administration is a concern. So with the City of Phoenix stepping up to be a group sponsor, that really mitigates a lot of the concerns that we have internally. So right now, we're trying to map out, what it looks like for a semiconductor equipment technician for our functional areas, and make sure that we have a well-developed, structured program that our employees can value.
Very good. And it sounds like the collaboration effort, again, with City of Phoenix was really instrumental in that.
Yeah, and the Maricopa Community Colleges as well. It's been great to work with here in Arizona.
Well, great. That's a perfect segue for me, because I'm going to turn next to Leah to talk about some of the work there. And I know when we talked yesterday, Lee, we were talking about there are 31 colleges within Maricopa, and there are a lot of satellite as well. And this idea of how do you structure a process so that you can sort of leverage across the colleges. And you talked about taking this idea of the systematic approach or system approach. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Maricopa is rich with incredible colleges. There's 10 accredited colleges, and of course some satellites to those colleges. And each and every one of them are doing great work in the communities that they're living in and serving. The Institute for the Advanced Manufacturing Institute for manufacturing specifically was to serve as a navigation tool. And that navigation tool was to help industry know where they could tap in, because it's hard to tap into all of the colleges that may be having some of those programs. And all the programs are named something different and unique. And then also, with that navigation is students. How are they finding, if it's not just in their backyard, their passion and what it is that they want to be? And most of them truly don't know even what manufacturing is or manufacturing does. So messaging was really, really important. And then resourcing with the cities, with economic development to try and, bring those capacity building pieces together. So having done that, we recognize that with this new semiconductor, unbelievable, dynamic turn, that we needed to have a different solution. And that solution really was working across multiple colleges simultaneously, systemizing the pathways so that people knew where to tap in and what the possibilities would be. And if I could say anything, that the community colleges, both with incredible faculty and even industry stepping up to teach those classes, because there isn't enough faculty to teach 800 people, that by doing that, people became attracted to semiconductor. People became wanting to do more. What's the next class? What's the next opportunity that I can take? And that's where we as a community college and registered apprenticeships can give certainty, can give navigation, can give help to someone saying, I don't need to know everything because they're going to help me know the next thing.
Very good. And I want to correct myself. I misspoke. There are 10 accredited colleges, and then there are multiple satellite, I think over 30 satellite locations. So excuse me, I wanted to just correct that. That was my bad. Well, it's interesting, and I'm going to turn to Linda next because it spurred in me a conversation we had earlier, which is the richness of this industry and the fact that it's the foundation of everything, right? And you and I talked about this, Melinda. So I want to turn to you next, and I'm going to make sure that I ask this correctly. So you were formerly with the U.S. Department of Defense, as we said, and you're on the board with the Institute. And really, a good portion of your life has been figuring out how do you have a secure supply chain. I mean, the pandemic put us all in, craziness, right? And we saw what happened with that. And, how do you make sure that that's really robust and secure for the future? Not to mention just supplying great jobs and livings for people. So can you talk a little bit about, from your perspective, what is the state of the U.S. talent pipeline to support the semi-industry today and strategic industry sectors? And how do you see the Institute's role in deploying that national strategy moving forward to really support that for such a critical industry?
Absolutely. I am overjoyed to sit here and listen to work happening on the ground that is really the instantiation of what folks in DC, in the White House, in the Pentagon talk about at a high level, acknowledge the issues, but frankly, don't have the reach to solve, right? And so as the director of the Defense Production Act, Title III, one of the main issues that I was solving, and even just in that particular area of the Defense Department, industrial-based policy, and in this case, manufacturing was the focus. We were very clear about capabilities and capacity, which is what DPA Title III allows you to fund, that were critical to national security, and then therefore also for the commercial sectors, because we are all the funders of the federal government. So our taxpayer dollars are used to create the technology, the capabilities, and the capacity that we need for weapon systems, but that also oftentimes is the seed funding for capabilities that goes into the commercial sector. And so that's super important for people to understand. And so we are looking at this, and the supply chain is what it is, like you mentioned, it's challenged multiple facets. In the case of microelectronics, we know radiation-hard microelectronics is very important, and so the Department of Defense funds that for satellite applications and specialty packaging and silicon carbide and GaN technologies, but just basic state of the practice technology and having access to it was a focus. At the same time, we are understanding, not necessarily addressing, because we're at a high level, that there is an issue in the workforce, that there is an issue, frankly, with skilled trades, period. Mm-hmm. Machining, folks who can work in technical factory areas. And so there's this national interest and focus. And as we, of course, talk about Industry 4.0 and AI, which is what you and I were talking about, all of that is dependent on not only technology, but a workforce that's becoming harder and harder to match the skills and the competencies with what's needed in the workforce. That's the state, right? We know that that's what it is. We're chat GPTing and BARTing, and we're doing all these things. And it's the case with cyber, because that goes right along with it. At the end of the day, all of that rides on microelectronics. I'll say that. I am, of course, a product of the microelectronics industry, so yep. I will always champion that. So we have to have microelectronics and chips and the technology and the supply chain that goes along with it. But we are also going to have the workforce and the folks to be able to do that work. So what happens is we have organizations like NIIT, like the Institute, that can pull together the national strategy, that can knit together those needs and the understanding of the gaps there, and then also work very mission-focused at the regional and local levels to do the work, which is what we've seen here. And so we have this kind of known issue with kind of skills gaps and competency-based issues, the technology of artificial intelligence concepts, needing to have high-performance computing, needing to have very, very high-powered compute, period, which equates to microelectronics, by the way. And so explaining that to our children as they come up who are using this technology, who don't understand the connection, explaining the importance of these particular careers. Again, as it was mentioned, being able to go into high-paying, high-value jobs, no different, by the way, than what we talk about in cyber, where we talk about the certification process. So things are evolving anyway, right? And so NIIT and the Institute and these programs are really what we need as a nation. The government can identify the problem, but we need to equip the folks who are in the spaces to go address them in a different way, right? Not the same old stuff. We have to do this understanding the national strategy, but hands-on operationalizing our reach to our students to build out and grow the pipeline, and that's precisely NIIT's mission, and it's precisely what is working here.
Yeah. It's exciting, though, isn't it? I mean, I'm a semi-geek because I've been in the industry all my adult life practically. But I think it's an exciting time because we are growing our footprint in the U.S., right? We are growing out the supply chain. And to hear all of you and how everything is coming together and working together, the Institute brings the tools and the programs, the community colleges bring the know-how in terms of matching skill set with future job seekers. You've got the employers who are looking for building out their footprint and having to bring more people into the workforce. And you have the city and the state and the county economic boards really trying to bring the best to their constituencies. That's very exciting, especially, I mean, look at what's happened for the city of Phoenix. Can you talk, I know that folks that are listening are probably wondering, okay, if I want to get started, where do I start? Can you talk a little bit about that? Maybe we can have a conversation. If you were giving advice to another city or another county, they want to start this, right? They may have already a small footprint of semiconductor, and they may have some semiconductor companies in the area. How do they get going? What do they do? And from a company standpoint, how do you talk to your colleagues in other semiconductor companies about how do you start this process so you can get those workers that you need?
I think it starts with connecting up with your local city. Whatever municipality you're in, whether it's a county or a city, they've got some of the experts that know how to do this. And then connecting up with consultants that have that reach into it as well, and just starting to network and engage. Throughout this process, and even before, I had a number of conversations with local education systems, schools, around this general topic, and
eventually evolved into this apprenticeship program. And I think, getting it together was getting all the different parties together to actually start moving it forward.
I think you have to, what we try to do is reach out to what you would normally say competitors are in the industry, but we're all challenged with the same issue. You could go try to hire all experienced people, but you're going to run out of people. So you have to grow the workforce. And so what we've done is try to reach out to other semiconductor manufacturers or equipment suppliers. And what we've found is probably 3/4 of the skill set is comparable for similar job roles. And so every company is going to have some specialization that they need, but the base skills for your various roles are going to be very similar. And working with community colleges and bringing in, any workforce development organizations in that locality can probably get the ball rolling.
It's interesting you said something about the skills being flexible. I would imagine at the community college level and any training program, right, that's got to be a great message to students, right? Because then they will have flexible skills that they can use to their advantage as they grow their career.
Very true. The skill sets that are being taught at the community college for the semiconductor industry also has a lot of the mechanical and electrical skill sets and competencies that work for medical device, that work for other companies as well, because they're core, they're necessary, and they're the building blocks of good technicians. Mm-hmm. And so I have a fond memory of being at TSMC and sitting with the group of people, and failure was not an option from the get-go. It wasn't, can we do this? Do we want to do this? It was, we're going to do this, so let's all decide what we need to do to make that happen. And to me, that's leadership, but that's also the highest point of collaboration.
Very good.
I wanted to jump in. One of the things we keep talking about is talent here. One of the pieces secretly for the Workforce Board, as the City, Community, and Economic Development, we were there 100% for TSMC as the Workforce Board, right? Our whole being is to help individuals get skills and training to get high wage and high demand careers. And we wanted to find out whatever nugget we could to make sure our participants had a seat at the door. And when we think about the talent pipeline, we need to seek out a new pipeline, right? Mm-hmm. The ones that we have is not filling it. And we clearly saw that too. And the match of apprenticeship for individuals that we serve is beautiful, right? We see many of the individuals are dislocated workers, individuals that have started their families, have had barriers to employment, and so stopping their life to go to college to get a different career is a little challenging, right? Even if they want to. Apprenticeships created this opportunity to tap into a new workforce with individuals that could earn and learn. Yeah. You can create a pathway in that for lots of folks, because that's manageable for someone that has a family and bills, but still wants to progress and can really connect up. And so I just wanted to add that in. That's been the exciting part. And as I think about our government and what they've been looking at, that's what we as our boards all around the nation are trying to do. So we also feel, even if it's not a municipality, because I know there's some places that you'll be that the workforce board does not sit with the city, but I would encourage that would be a great place to go as a workforce board. This is just exactly what we talk the same language. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in really quickly and just agree with you and again express my delight that the Institute and what they have done with the National Talent Hub and bringing together the competency model that identifies the skills that do cross-cut and that can be used, and using the community college's curriculum and then working with the employers is exactly in line with what you just said, and expanding that pipeline to what maybe wasn't there, because that's really the issue in the nation, right? That's the issue in the nation. Go ahead, Deb.
Absolutely. And, Dr. Diaz talked about how the curriculum crossover, so real experience can equate over. I mean, we were in a meeting just with we're still working on this, We were just meeting with the college I think yesterday or the day before, and we were all sitting there like, how do we make sure that whatever they've done, they get credit for prior learning, so we just keep them moving forward. And, something, that what's exciting about TSMC, and I don't know where it's going to fit in, but I'm going to fit it in right here. When TSMC started with this, you're right. It was, hey, we're going to do this. Leah, that was so true. There wasn't a question. We were going to do it. We didn't know exactly where or how, but we were going to do it. And TSMC, I think, as we started engaging with NIIT, was really, what is our base and how do we grow? Like what you hear today is just the beginning of what's being developed, because in all of the work that we're doing, it's not just getting you here. As Greg talked about, I got to get you all the way here. And so in the work that Greg's been doing with the Institute, these pathways where people can, through this base, identify what do I really like, and then jump into that and grow. And as someone who maybe wouldn't walk to a college campus, but would go to an apprenticeship and then find themselves in a college class doing fantastic, then the doors really open with what they can achieve, and you make it manageable.
So those workforce boards are super important. I just want to highlight as well. That's literally what the Institute has developed, a formula for playbook, to use Mike's terms. It's just experts at going in and working with those organizations. So those are good starting places, as you mentioned in the question originally.
Yeah. And we've talked before too of just getting to these folks that potentially could pursue a career like this. Maybe they don't even know it, right? They don't even know what's possible. And that's so exciting to me to look at that, because again, I love this industry. It's not just about today and tomorrow, it's about the future of the industry. Really, and the future of an industry that is foundational to almost everything that we think about in the world right now. Semiconductors are at the foundation. So it's to me, I just get hyped up. It's super exciting.
Our very first meeting, we were there, and that was the conversation. I think the first thing we decided was we've got to tell people what this is, what they think it is versus what it is. And Pearl, who has led us through, I know she's not up here, but really has been leading us along the way, and herding cats, making sure we're all together and moving to the next step. Oh my gosh, I So we were, the president of TSMC comes in, and he was like, no, this is like a race car, like you are working on a car while it's in a race. And then he said sexy, and we all got nervous, like, wait, we don't say that. And he's like, no, they gotta see it sexy. And we all realized that maybe had to be our starting point, is the campaign. Yeah. You think about the military, they don't really advertise to kids, right? They advertise to parents who they can give that message. Correct. Right? And we were all talking about this, but realized we also need to do some work in that area. We need to make sure people know what this is about.
Yeah, for sure. And I have to say, as we sort of wrap this up, I'm going to make a play to everybody in this room that has kids, anybody online who has children. Point this out to them. My kids are so sick of it. I'll go to the store and I'll be putting my, tapping my ATM card on. I sold a chip into that. I did at one point in my life. Everywhere I go, I think, there's a chip. Yeah, Mom, no, you didn't. So just showing the next generation and people who don't know the industry, just telling them, because that's important. They know it's there, because we're a little hidden right now.
And I just want to add a thought, because I was privileged enough to witness it, and that is that this type of growth that we can now bring to this industry requires people understanding what the industry is and how magical it is. Mm-hmm. But when they do come in, and we're making it easier for them to come in and understand from a systems lens. But a mother says, this training, this job, my daughter told me that she's proud of me. Mm. These are big moments. We don't get to see a lot of those big moments, but what we're doing can actually change lives.
Absolutely.
And an institute, the Court Institute, a national institute, did a survey about 3 years ago. And the survey was about the fact that if somebody were going to train you, if somebody were going to, which is an apprenticeship, would that change something in the dynamics? And truly, they found 30% more people applied for jobs that said, we will train you, which is an apprenticeship. That means that I don't have to know everything, but somebody's going to help me get to that next leg, and we have got to be that for them.
You do. Well, that, I don't know how we could end on a better note than that. So thank you. I want to say thank you so much for everyone on the panel. I really appreciate your time today, and hopefully everybody learned something in that discussion. Great. I'm going to welcome back Joanne.
Good job.
Witnessed magic right there. Oh my gosh. So as we conclude this event, I invite all of you to just focus and reflect on some key takeaways. Like, you know, we've heard about the critical importance of registered apprenticeship in building that robust talent pipeline for the semiconductor industry. We've learned about the magic and the power of collaboration across cities, companies, and educational institutions to drive that workforce development. We're inspired by what we saw with the City of Phoenix's leadership in becoming the first local workforce board to sponsor such a program and hopefully setting a precedent for others to follow. At this late juncture, I'd like to thank our esteemed panelists. Wonderful, magical. I could not have asked for a better panel. Our gracious hosts, Gateway Community College, specifically Jessica Brasillo and Stephanie Stewart. And of course, the Honorable Mayor Kate Gallego for their contributions for today's event. And of course, it would not be an event without all of you, the attendees, also those joining virtually. Your engagement today is a catalyst for change. And it's the fuel that will propel us forward. So it's our dedication and innovation and commitment that will help us build a robust talent pipeline and eventually shape the very landscape of the semiconductor industry workforce. So thank you for spending time with us. Let's go make magic.